Hi, so thanks for the nice introduction. So I was actually thinking how to start today's talk about agility and learning, and I was on Saturday on one of the museum in Prague. It's Franz Kafka Museum, so this poor drawing next to this quote is Franz Kafka. And actually, when I think about his books, about the trial, the bureaucracy, the elements of being dismal, being lost, not understanding the process. Actually, when we think about his diaries, he mentioned that, well, when you think about the education, it has done so much harm to him that you are no longer have fun from education. You're actually part of this bureaucratic machinery, part of university, and I'm speaking this as a PhD student, so I'm also part of that, that it could be bad. So probably we can do something with how we learn, how we actually exchange the knowledge a bit differently than our current setup. So with that a bit Franz Kafkan introduction, I would like to warn you, there will be interactive session. So what you need for that session, it's basically two things. One is your ability to communicate in a rather polite manner, so make sure that you can do it. Second thing is, if you want to take the most from this presentation, I highly recommend you to have something to write. So any piece of paper, any pencil, any pen, that will help you because you can use other senses than just watching. So that's the warning, so it's already made. It's of course option to opt out if you don't have any of these things, so don't bother. But why bother? Why actually bother that this part of being a part of bureaucratic learning system is so difficult? Well, when you think about the fun, it's actually something that makes sense a lot. So when your brain is at the play, it's actually inspires a lot. And when you think about agility, one of the synonyms or trying to find something similar is flexibility. And research on that topic, on animals and humans, said that during the play, we are prone to behave flexible. So if you're trying to connect the dots, learning agility, fun is somewhere as a glue for that. So how to create something engaging, fun, it's actually about that. So there's also one of the saying, and this is John Cleese, if you cannot recognize the drawing, he used to say that if you want to have creative people, let them play. So with the warning before, I would like to ask you the closest neighbor, ask you when you have last time fun during the learning. 1 minute for that. You can talk, you can draw, enjoy. 1 minute. Welcome. When last time you had fun during the learning?
During the learning.
Yes. All right. Time passes like crazy.
Okay, that's 1 minute. Everybody, attention back up front, please.
Thank you. That was easy. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Let's move forward. So if you are still not convinced about how to approach the learning, there's some serious studies about it. It's called learning for adults. Right? That's part of the talk. It's actually, there's a deep study about that. Actually, we can engage adult people in learning. And one of the profound, I think, work on this is by David Kolb, who actually created something called the Kolb cycle. I don't know, have you ever heard about Kolb cycle of learning? Raise your hand, I'm seeing nodding. Right, pretty familiar concept. So it's far much behind this in his thinking about the experimental learning, because he wanted to try to engage many senses. So when you think about that you reflect on something, you have some theory, you have practice, and you can actually touch something, you can actually try to share the learnings through the different feelings. So from the feeling, doing, watching, thinking, there's a high chance that one of these sensors will stay with you. So that's why we want to extend possibility of learning. And one more slide on theory, if you not get bored. So we know the Kolb cycle, we know how adults learning. One of the additional things is like we not always learn in a good situation. So how to actually create the situation that we can learn? Well, it's a responsibility of a person who is trying to convey a message, but also participants. So one of the nice idea, which is like quite known in Poland, but not abroad, which I'm happy to share with the people, is about the creating intentional space for learning. What you need for that? Well, safety first, then sense of the purpose. So if we know why we are doing something is more engaging, there's a part of the community. So think about here, you're part of the Agile community, so there is a sense of the belongings. You have here some purpose, maybe different, but you are already part of that. And one of the crucial things, which I would like to also show, is this activity. If you are just like sitting, not taking part, the chance that you are learning are kind of smaller than if you are active. Right, if someone is very peculiar, what's the difference between the simulations, games? It's actually quite similar. So it's actually intertwined concepts. One of the distinguished things is like you can have some rules for the games, a score and effort, if you ever played something. Simulation is actually create environment. So actually, for our purpose, we will be using this interchangeably. And spoiler alert, having a simulation activity is not always a silver bullet. For that, you can assess two things. And if you like four fields analysis from typical consultants, I created this for this purpose. So if you want to create a simulation, it's good to have the problem for exploration worth enough to put effort to create simulation, one thing. Second, there's enough fun to have it. So you also have, under this fun, people that are willing to take part in the simulation and games, because otherwise you'll be trying to force people to have some fun, which is usually not working. All right. So how to prepare? Because the idea of this talk is to actually give you some tools and thinking how to prepare yourself for creating your own simulation. One of the interesting concepts, it's called usually comes from facilitation, is 7P. It's easy to remember because having any acronyms and abbreviation makes sense. So the idea behind this is, well, you need to have a purpose. It doesn't make sense without sense, usually. But when you create something, you usually know to whom you are addressing your learning. So it's good to know the people. You think about what kind of process you want to start, because learning is a process thing, it's not a one thing. So you want to know what kind of the process, and one will be potential product of your learning. So for example, product of this presentation is actually to give you some tools for practice at your own, and also experience a bit if we can have a time. What else? Well, preparation, some practical things, and potential pitfalls. So you can anticipate, for example, if you have a space for creating simulation. If not, maybe you can find a different way. Well, that's beautiful, but one thing is missing. And this part of the missing is validation. So imagine that you want to teach people about some elements of Agile, but it's good to have some elements that you deliberately and intentionally you want to touch. So for example, if you want to teach people how to take part in some simulation about Scrum, you want to know up front what kind of elements of the framework you want to check during this activity. Having fun is fun. Having fun with the purpose is even more fun. That's the basic message for that. All right, so we know 7P plus validation. What is next? Well, someone heard about training from the back of the room? Someone on the back of the room? All right, I'm seeing some hands. So they also have quite useful concept called 4C, right? So we are building our equation. We have 7P now, 4C. So it's a bit of mathematics here. One of the idea is that this is a nice canvas for how to create the experience. So one thing is, of course, you want to have connection. So you want to connect people to the topic and people to each other. So this is one of the basic assumptions. And then you can introduce some concept, but you want to build the concept that people already know. So it's like you want to already take advantage that adult people know something, usually. Like on average, we know something. We sometimes have a lot of opinions, so maybe this knowledge is not valid, but we at least have something that we can build upon. So this is the one element. And 4 is like really some concrete practice. So this is the part when you can run the simulation. We can actually learn something, and we can make a conclusion. Do not leave people without some conclusion and debriefing, because otherwise it will be just fun. Remember, having a fun and reflection on fun is even more fun. Right, could you spot where we are at this presentation? On which C? Precisely. So we are now on the concept. We made some connections at the beginning. You meet your friend or person who is sitting next to you. So the whole presentation, and this is spoiler alert, is based also on this concept. So you can build, it's a quite flexible tool just to make sure that you are not forgetting about some elements. All right, we know 4C. But how about creating the practice part itself? Well, it's actually quite simple and not simple at the same time. Have you ever heard about divergent convergent thinking? It's a quite powerful way how to shape our thinking, because there's some part of our exercise or our thinking that we want to have as many ideas as we can. Any ideas of the exercise for that? Usually comes with the storming. Yeah, brainstorming is a great example that we want to start and divergent thinking, but on some element we want to finalize some ideas, so we go to the convergent thinking. So we open something and close something, just for now. So how you can do it? Well, you actually can think about any elements of start opening something and come to the conclusion. You can build the chains of that as well. So it's pretty useful concept. It's actually used a lot in design thinking or any exploration or trying to solve the problem. So it sounds a bit abstract, is it so? So how to make it more concrete? How to open your simulation? And opening simulation is something that you're already doing this intentionally or not. So it's an element that you have people, you bring them, and there's this initial enthusiasm, usually initial. Or at least there is no like a pessimism like we started this lecture with Franz Kafka. So it's like at least some level of expectation. Then there is, well, the drawback is that people don't know each other. So what you can do at the beginning is try to connect them. This is one of the elements that is very important. Before you start the real simulation, it's good to have any elements of introducing people to each other. So, well, this element of the opening is actually to start making sure that people know how to cooperate to each other. One of the great examples, I think, will be facilitated at this conference is like non-musical chair. Have you ever played on Agile non-musical chairs? Okay, so there will be a chance. This is one of the potential simulations that we will talk in the next slide. So any examples of icebreakers? Check-in.
Yes, country.
Yeah. All right, makes sense. So you know something. So I don't have to, enlist the icebreakers. There is some ideas already in this group. And if you put icebreakers on the website, you have more than your life allow you to try. And any team building activities. It could be very small team building activities, but the idea behind is that you're connecting the people. All right, so we are preparing for the main part, which is like how to create some exploratory games. And that teaches us agility and flexibility in the environment. And I collected here a bit of the elements that you're usually trying, but maybe you try something more. So in this element, we try to have like a proper simulation. So here we want to really touch the elements of the games that will be didactic and help us learn something. So, for example, a proper simulation of incremental and iterative way. Have you ever played of any of those games? Lego. Yeah? Lego. Okay. Well, we will have very small introduction to one of those games at the first, so either ballpoint game or paper airplanes. We will see which we can choose. But the idea of the design of this game is that you will have some time to have time for build something in iterative way and have a reflection how to improve it. So there's some ideas how to actually create such an experience that you can build upon. Right? If you have this, then you would like to close the experience. And it's pretty simple. It's actually the time that you try to reflect. Usually, it's a time when you want to say people, hey, this is no longer simulation. You can come back to your normal life. It's what sometimes people are not easy to jump out of the simulation, especially in the role plays. You want to make sure that they are aware that it's closing. And you can play any games you like. I think we will have a time for playing one of this called Agile Bingo. So that's the idea behind this. So for this a bit theoretical approach, I would like to start, well, I would like to go to the presentation because you heard about a couple concepts. One is 7P, 4C. Now you heard about divergent, convergent thinking. You think, oh, how actually I can do it? So in this part, I was thinking actually to demonstrate you one of the exploratory games. So airplanes or ballpoint games. So we'll decide which one. But for that, I need around 4 volunteers from the audience. So any brave volunteers that would like to join us in this very small part here, just to present some game. Thank you. The big applause for the first person. Hey. Jake, are you coming as a volunteer? All right. One more at least, guys. Thank you. Please join us. Big applause. Guys, I want to remember you, like, if you are involved, you are learning, so big applause to these people because they will be learning as much from this talk. Okay. Remember, there are 2 games that we want to try. First is one ballpoint game, second is paper airplanes. And there's a chance to the audience. Please raise your hand if you want to try the ballpoint game. One, okay. Interesting. How about the second one? Something dangerous. Something dangerous, like, okay, so it's like a nice distribution. So luckily, I am the host of this presentation, so I can ask our volunteers any preference. Ballpoint game, okay. Then the ballpoint game. We're playing the ballpoint game. There is a nice instruction for you. I'll be helping you with the ballpoint game right now. My request to the audience. As you see, people will be very engaged in this flow. We have a couple minutes for that. For you, what you can do, use any of these elements that you learned for thinking about your simulation that you want to do. So you can think what kind of elements of this game have already from the mentioned concepts. And yeah, observe, because there will be task for you after this called Agile Bingo. So observe, think about your own simulation, enjoy the time. Okay, request to you, volunteers. The game is pretty simple, all the complex. In this, you have a balls here. Okay. What you can do, you actually can think about your strategy, how to make as many ball passes as a whole team. Okay. What does it mean? You as a team. Yeah, so what does it mean? We can bend some rules. So what does it mean? Every one of you need to touch the ball. So it passes if everyone touched the ball of you, and there's some elements of the air. So for example, I would pass the ball to Sam. It counts.
Okay.
To Jake, to Olena.
Having a couple of balls.
Yes, something like this. There's a couple balls there.
So more than one ball at once.
We think lean, passing things off is also difficult. So
Precisely.
Well, it said airtime.
well,
Yeah.
it's better once, right?
Yeah, airtime before the pass. What you can do, the full cycle counts. So if everyone touched the ball, it's one. So I will give you 2 minutes
Okay.
for like thinking about how you want to do it.
All right.
Think about how many balls you can give us. So like full passes. Okay?
Who juggles?
Batching.
If we're having airtime, I mean, and that means outside of the hand time?
Does it have to be airtime only once or for each pass?
For each pass. So if you, for example, give Jake the ball, doesn't count. If I give you that way, it counts.
Ooh, so then we could do batching and with a drop.
Yeah.
We may. Quality problems. I think lean is probably the best way. Honestly, personally. Should we give it a try before we demo? Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, like, I think if we had one like this, and then maybe one like this.
All right.
Oh, this is it. This is the move.
All right.
I feel great about it. You know what?
There's no way this goes wrong. Okay, practice.
All right.
I feel agile.
Hello, team. Hello, team. How many passes do you think you can do in 2 minutes?
2 minutes?
Oh.
I think 190.
190. All right. Guys, there's a timer. So,
Should we count?
yes, please count.
Wait, realistic guess? That's more different.
It's an estimation, so no realistic guess. 19. 99. All right. So, question, audience, request to you. We have a first round of the game. The team is deciding that there will be 99 passes in 2 minutes. So I'm setting the timer for 2 minutes. All right, let's start. Big applause for them and starting the tossing. It is.
We're 20.
They are not following the rules.
Yeah, I'm saying this. You can be a judgmental audience in a minute. Oh, come on, guys.
Now I'm learning the game. Probably the good apple.
All right.
Looks like this, but it's not.
It's not easy, no. But there's a full focus in the thing. Rem- All right.
63. 64. 71. 72. 73. 74. 75. 7.
All right. Time passed.
81.
81.
81 times 3. 81 times 3.
All right. So what's your final number?
Math on the spot. 81 times 3 is, so let's say, 243.
243. All right. Applause. Yes. Please stay for 1 minute, guys, because it's very brave of you. How you would like to reflect? So how do you want to improve this process? If you will be asked for the next round.
First of all, those
Uh-huh.
Because they are different and it's harder to pass them.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on which ball you have, it is harder to.
For those who don't know, one's a stress ball, one's like a...
Oh, yeah.
Real different weights.
Yeah.
Pretty tricky.
Pretty
We
tricky.
made it look easy.
How? All right. If you don't have influence on the materials, what you would like to change?
I think a better understanding of the exact rules.
All right.
So to get a better point count.
Mm-hmm. So the rules. What else in your, I don't know, how you stand, how you pass the ball?
Yeah, probably align on the speed of how we are doing this. Because when we were counting, I felt that I have to be faster.
Oh.
Faster, and I was trying to speed up, but I didn't let my team know that I have to speed up, and it's a problem.
Oh, sustainable pace. Nice catch. Right. Thank you very much. Big applause again. Thank you for being a lovely group. Thank you very much. Ball's coming back. All right. So, asking to the audience, what have you observed? We have now the Agile Bingo. So you saw the simulation game. Well, by the way, this is the 12 principles of Agile, so you can Google this somewhere. I bet you'll somewhere see them. So, have you seen at least one principle in this simulation? Raise your hand. At least one? Oof.
In the game,
In the game that we see.
they play.
Yeah, when they play the game. Right, I'm seeing some hands. If you see two, please raise your hand. Okay, fantastic. So it still makes sense. How about three? All right, I'm seeing some hands from three. If you see more than four, please raise your hand. One hand in the audience, I'm very appreciated. Okay, guys, thank you. It's like a part of seeing and validating the experience, because what we tried to learn was iterative approach, how to make more balls. Okie doke, your toolbox from now, because we are running out of time. You already know the 7P, how to prepare. You know for C, how to design the experience. We are actually in the last C right now, because we are making conclusion. And you know divergent and convergent thinking. So you are fully equipped to create your own simulation with some examples that you already have. And please remember the Benjamin Franklin quote, like, if you told me and I forget, well, teach me and I'll maybe remember. But if you involve me, I'll learn. So big applause to the people who beat here, because they were learning the most. That's almost the last slide. A couple of the inspirations, like there's plenty of them, but if you want to any curated list, work of David Kolb is highly influential in how to learn adults. Training from the back of the room is a nice concept. There's game storing, innovation games, any games. So there is huge amount of this, especially I like Tasty Cupcakes when you have find more. This is for you for remember what you learn at that session. If your piece of paper, like for the 10 seconds. So you can write what's your immediate learning, if you have any. And I think we are running to the time, so please have any feedback. Raise your hand if you like this session. That I'll be highly appreciated if you raise a hand. So this is the time to raising your hands. I have a couple, thank you. It makes sense of this presentation. Thanks, play at your own risk. You can find more on the website of mine, and presentation will be available to you. Thank you.